Welcome to Tweed, Ontario, Canada for Round 5 of the 1989 World Observed Trials Championship Series. This is the first world-class event that Trials Master Cam Whiffing and the Steel City Riders Motorcycle Club have ever put on, and it sure looks like it's going to be a good one. Even Mother Nature got into the act last night and added a touch of rain to the already excellent sections that are set up and waiting to be challenged by the riders. Cloudy skies gave way to the sun and mild temperatures by the time this event started, making this a very pleasant day to be outdoors. This event was held on land that was homesteaded back in 1862, which was when this old log cabin was built. The pioneers who lived here then probably never dreamed that one day there would be a battle here by the top trials riders from all over the world. And you can bet that the top three riders, Thierry Michaud from France with 65 total championship points, Jordi Terrace from Spain with 64, and Diego Bozes from Italy with 63, will definitely be doing battle here today for the points lead. After a hard U.S. round held in Tennessee last weekend, the riders enjoyed a few days of sightseeing and shopping while traveling up here to Canada. Tweed is a small village located midway between Toronto and Ottawa, or about a 4-hour drive northeast of Niagara Falls. It's Sunday morning about 8 o'clock now, and the riders are preparing for the start, which will be about 1 hour from now at 9 o'clock. 28 riders started this event, and only 2 did not finish due to mechanical problems. There were 15 sections to be ridden 3 times with a time limit of 7 hours. 9 Fenwics were entered in this event, 8 Betas, 3 Aprilias, 3 Montesas, 2 Yamahas, 1 Honda, 1 Gas, and 1 Mecatechno. The section information page shown before each section tells the number of cleans, 1s, 2s, 3s, and 5s taken by all riders in that section, and the number of points lost on each ride. From this information, you can tell just how hard a section is going to be. Also given at the bottom is how the section ranked in difficulty in relation to the other sections in this trials. Ron Como from the USA is the first rider in this section, and Ron did not finish the event due to a mechanical problem with his bike. Sections are still a bit slick from last night's brief rain shower, and he scored a 5. Johnny Anderson, the only other USA rider entered in this event, now riding. This section was fairly easy, a lot of big rocks to go over. Most of the top riders cleaned this section.
Aika hyvin saattaisi päästä oikaiseen tällä mitalsiirtymään. Aika hyvin saattaisi päästä oikaiseen.
He's out with a 2. Jordi Terrace, the number 2 ranked world rider, now entering the section. Most of the sections in this trials today involved a trick turn at one point or another in the section. Looked like Jordi hit a little rock there with his front wheel. Caused him to take a dab. Notice Jordi goes down to the bottom of the section instead of staying up at the top here like Ron Como and Johnny Anderson did. This gives him just a little straighter shot for the wall up ahead of him here. Left turn and straight out, he scored a 1. Donato Miglio had a clean 3 and a 5. Diego Bozes, clean 1-5. Eddie Lejeune, clean 5, clean. Thurry Gerard with a 1 and 2 5s. Berladier, Gilberto, and Peter John all had 2 cleans and a 1. Andrew Codina had a 5, a clean, and a 1. Tommy Avila, clean 5 and a 3. And Emus Bilbao with a 1 and 2 cleans. And the present world champion, Thurry Michaud, dropping into the section. Thurry's 25 years old this year. Some of the other riders' ages: Jordy Terror's 22, Peter John 25, Steve Saunders is 24, Diego Bose is 21, Gabino Renales is 25, the youngest rider, Tommy Avila, 17 years old, Amos Bilbao is 19, Donato Miglio, 22, and the oldest rider on the circuit, Eddie Lejeune, he's 28 this year. Thurry Gerard from France, 23 years old. Philippe Berladier, 24. Bernardo Chiaberto, 26. Louis Galac, 25. Pascal Couturier, 25. Marco Riet, 19. Andrew Codina is 25. And Marcus Kipp from Germany is 24. Steve Saunders had 3 cleans every time he rode this section. And Thurry's out with a clean. He also had 3 clean rides on this section. So him and Steve Saunders are the only 2 riders in this trials who clean this section, all 3 rides. On to section 2 now, which was just down the trail from section number 1. Very short distance for the spectators to walk. This was the second hardest section in the trials. Marco's looking at a pretty good sized ledge right in front of him now that he has to get up. This was a fairly difficult part of the section. A lot of riders didn't make it up this part. And now you rode kind of along the side of a hill over a couple of very slick rock ledges, then turned back down the hill. And the hardest part is in the background there, off to Marco's left now. Once you were down here, you made another left turn, back down into kind of a clearing where you made a trick turn. And then it was a charge up the hill over a bunch of very slick slab rocks and ledges. And a lot of riders fived it there. Most of the less experienced riders five the section right here at this point. We'll take a look at Jordy's technique here and see how he gets up this ledge. Lots of RPM and lots of real good clutch work. Keep that back wheel from spinning. Gets Jordy up there. We'll catch the last part of Jordy's ride here with our second camera. Lots of speed up the hill, and this rock gets in the way, and Jordy scored a 2 on the exit. We'll stay here for Amos's ride. Amos gets through the hardest part of the section right there at that point. All he has to do is go over one more small ledge here, and he's out with a 3. 17-year-old Tommy Avila is still clean at this point. And he just kind of runs out of speed here and loses traction, and he scored a 5. This old Moosehead was to be the trophy for any rider who cleaned this section, but that was highly improbable, as only 4 riders made it through this section on their first ride. Cabino scores a 5.
Salut madame.
Steve Saunders about halfway through the section now. Getting ready for that right turn back down the hill. And Steve runs out of speed. That was the hardest part of the section, right there where he fived it. Most of the riders are getting that far and then five in the section. Terry's brother Freddie right in front of his back there helping him out. Terry's got a good ride going here. Looks like he took a 1 right there. And the checker's got a 5 indicated for him. Evidently, Theory hit a rock and bounced back with his foot down. And it was enough that the checker gave him a 5 for it. Freddie Michaud doesn't agree with that call at all. And there's sure to be some controversy over that. Andrew Codina runs out of traction, collects a 5. And a bit of discussion about Theory's 5 is now underway.
What are you doing? No, tonight is too late. It's not possible to protect. Sorry.
Well, the checker wisely held his ground and gave Theory that 5. Diego Bozas riding next. Diego's got a good ride going here. And he takes a 1. Jody Terrace, Peter John, and Amos Bilbao were the only other 3 riders to make it through this section. All the other riders, the rest of the day, 5 this section. And Diego's through with a 2, the only other rider to get through the section. You just saw Jordy in slow motion coming off the back side of that big rock, which was the exit of this section. A very psychologically imposing section right here. The entrance over these rocks. Down over here with a right turn around these trees where Peter John is now. And then 3rd gear. And a lot of real fine clutch work to get up this big rock. This was very slippery, and if the technique wasn't done right, it was a very scary slide back down to the bottom of this rock. A lot of spectacular 5s were taken here, as we'll see. Ignacio Bertrand here, the rider for Solomoto magazine in Spain, enjoying his trials. Peter John's the first rider we caught coming through here. This is one section you want to make sure that your bike is running very cleanly on. Most of the riders made it through the first part of this section without any problem. And a trick turn right here. Third gear and lots of throttle. And here was the tricky part, getting over the backside of this rock down through the exit. This section definitely gets Jordy's attention. Marco Riet from the Netherlands checking it out, along with Andrew Codina from Spain. Andrew's trying to get a helper rock in the right place, the bottom of the big rock. Johnny Anderson from Sweden, but living in the USA, riding the only Honda entered in this event. And he wisely decides not to pursue that rock any further. Andrew Codina gets up the rock, but finds it right there at the top. There's a real sharp drop-off right up there to his left, as we'll soon see here. Steve Saunders pops up to the top of the rock and gets a few of the helper riders off. A left turn and then right out the exit. But it has to be done just right. And Jordy gets just a bit off his line and really scares the spectators at the bottom of the section as they scatter for cover. Jordy had kind of a scary get off there at the top of the section, jumping off his bike and sailing down through the tree branches. He's okay though, and the bike wasn't hurt either. And Gabino doesn't quite make it up to the top. That'll score to 5. They finally got a rope up there and tied it to a tree so the helper riders could hang onto the rope and grab their riders when they come up if they were having problems. Amos says, "Now I'm going back down the rock." Lets the bike go and follows it down. Tommy Avila gets a bit crossed up on these slick entrance rocks. He scored a 5. Diego gets a lot of traction and has the bike jump off from underneath him. He scored a 5. Steve Saunders had the best ride in this section. with a 1, a clean, and a 2. Philippi bails out. Terry Michaud had a 3, a 1, and a 2. And Renato Chiaberto, 3, 2, and a 5. Thierry Girard is a full-time member of the French military, where he has the rank of a captain. And they give him time off to come out and compete in these world round events. Top of that rock is very slippery now. Nice ride for Lewis with a 3. And you just had a view of Niagara Falls from the Canadian side, looking over toward the American side of the falls right at the end. We're at section number 6 now. Jordy has just come up the entrance part of it. This was kind of a long section. We shot 3 riders going through here. We'll take a look at Thierry Michaud next, and then Diego Bozas. Donato Miglio had a 3 and 2 5s. Steve Saunders a 3, a 5, and a 3. And Eddie Lejeune a 3 and 2 5s. Thierry Girard, Philippe Berladier, and Renato Chiaberto all had 3 5s. So did Johnny Anderson. Peter John had 3 threes. And Andrew Codina, 2 5s and a 3. A lot of trick riding was required in this section to get through it. And up and over a big rock, which we'll catch in the next rider. And Jordy was out with a clean. The only clean ride of the day. World champion 30 Michaud now riding. There were quite a few spectators up here in Tweed for this event today. The organizers did a very good job on the spectator loop. Without too much walking, the spectators could get to just about every section.
Excuse me, guys, I can't see. Hey. Jesus.
One of the checkers telling the spectators to move out of the way. Thury had the best rides in this section, losing only 7 points. Peter Jan had the next best ride, losing 9. And Thury's out with a 1. And Jordan Terrace had the third best ride, losing 10 points total. Diego Bozas now riding. A lot of riders fly this section right here in front of where Diego is now. This got to be pretty slippery on the second and third laps. And this was the hardest part of the section. This off-camber uphill turn over some rock ledges to the exit. A lot of riders also 5'd right here. And Diego gets hung up on a slick part of the section. He scored a 5. About 200 yards down the trail now to the other side of the hill, we come to section number 8. This one appropriately named Ski Lift. Up the hill, around those trees, and up this ledge to the exit. This was the 11th easiest or 4th hardest section. All 3s and 5s were taken in this section. Steve Saunders, the first rider we caught here. Steve spent about 2 minutes balancing here, so we're going to cut a bit of this out. Steve picks up a 5 here. That part of the section was very difficult. We'll move down to that point here after a few more riders. Most of the 5s in this section were taken right at that point. Jordy scores a 5. Andrew finds a bit of traction and loses control of his bike for a 5. And Gabino finds a bit of traction on that line. And Gabino's out with a 3. There he tries a different line here. The riders that did the best pretty much came straight up the hill. Theory's trying to zigzag his way up. Nice ride from Theory with the 3. And Donato scores a 5. Eddie Lejeune had a 5 and 2 3s. Amos Bilbao, Theory Gerard, Renato Cuberto, Peter Yan, and Tommy Avila all had 3s. And Berladier had a 3, 5, and a 3. And Diego was pretty close to a 5 there in a few of those turns. And he's the last rider they'll watch in this section. And he's out with a 3. About 100 yards to the east, right down the trail, section 9. Pretty easy entrance. A hard part right here, turning and coming up over that ledge, and now getting set up for a bit of a hill climb with lots of loose rocks. Jordy gets hung up here for just a bit. And he's out with a 1. Johnny Anderson making lots of noises with his Honda. He collects a 5. Donato almost loses it there. He got all out of control. He was just out of the exit when that occurred, and he scored a 3. A shot of the entrance there as Thurry Michaud rides in. This section was in the sun, so it dried out pretty fast. Steve Saunders had 2 2s and a 5. Diego Bozes 2.35. Thurry Gerard 2.52. Berlatier 3.31. Chiarberto 3.53. Peter Yan 2.55. Nice clutch work from Thurry to hold himself on that hillside. Nice ride with the 3. Nice recovery in that section from Thurry. Amos Bilbao with a 1 and 2 5s. This off-camera ledge where he just went over was very difficult for the riders. He's out with a 3. Gabino Renales 2.53. Tommy Avila 3.35. And Ron Como with 2 5s. And Eddie lets the fire go out in the engine, and he gets a 5. Section 11 was a real easy section coming up out of a stream. Real picturesque kind of a area. A few trick turns were required in this section also. From here is up this ledge and then straight ahead up another smaller ledge to the exit. Donato Miglia had a 1 and 2 cleans. Steve Saunders, clean, 2 and a clean. Bozes with 3 cleans. Eddie Lejeune with 3 cleans. Berlatier with a 5 and 2 cleans. Gerard, clean and 2 1s. Jordy also had 3 cleans in this section. Peter John a clean and 2 1s. Tommy Avila a 1 and 2 cleans. Johnny Anderson 2 1s and a 3. And on Ron Como's 2 rides, he had 2 2s. Real nice recovery from Andrew here as he rolls back to try his acceleration run again. 4 riders cleaned this section each time they rode it. Eddie Lejeune, Diego Bozes, Jordy Terrace, and Thurry Michaud. The exit was the hardest part of this section, getting up and over this about 7-foot ledge, which was angled just a little bit. Stopped a lot of riders. Nice ride from Tommy Avila with the 2. We'll catch Jordy about halfway through the section now. This turn right here took a lot of points from the riders. It was probably the next hardest part of the section. It was very loose, and a couple of good bounces of the front end and rear end of the bike were required to get around that real tight turn. Once up here, a couple more trick turns to get set up straight ahead for the attack at that big exit ledge. Nice clutch work from Jordy. He was out with a clean. And here's the entrance part of the section. Down over those rocks with a real tight right turn. Up a couple of slippery ledges here. And then a real tight left turn back down into the section. Nicely done there by Thurry Gerard. Up around this tree. And we're back to the second hardest part of the section. Good ride with the clean. Thurry Michaud now riding. Donato Miglio had a 1 clean and a 3. Diego Bozes 3.52. Lejeune 3.5s. Gilberto 2 3s and a 5. Peter Jan a 1 and 2 2s. Section 13 is right next door to number 12 here. And Thurry gets hung up on a loose rock. He has to take a 1. Codina, 1 3 and a 5. Johnny Anderson, 3 5s. And Ron Como had 2 5s. And Theory just barely makes it through this section with a 2. Jordy had the best rides in this section with 2 cleans and a 1. Tommy Avila had a 2 and 2 cleans for the next best ride. And Theory Gerard had a clean and 2 1s. Amos is turning into a very aggressive young rider. He lives pretty close to Jordy and practices with him quite a bit in the off season. And here he takes a 5, stalling his engine. Catch Philippe Berladier's ride one more time here at the exit. It's like he drifted over to the right just a little bit, got off his line and takes a 5. On our way back to the start-finish area now. Marco Reed on section 15. This section required quite a bit of trick riding in it. This was a hard part of the section, but the hardest part was right at the exit, going over a couple of big, huge, slippery rocks, which we'll see here in just a bit. And here's where lots of 5s were taken, trying to get up over this very slippery rock. Most of the top riders didn't have any problem with that rock. They rode right up it. Donato Miglo had a 3 clean and a 5. Once more we cut Steve's ride a little bit short here. He spent about a minute balancing down there to get set up for that uphill. Eddie Lejeune, clean and 2 2s. Berladier, a 2 and 2 cleans. Oh, and Steve just slides off the right side of that rock. Actually, it took Steve just about 5 minutes to ride this section. He did a lot of balancing in it. Tommy Avila gets to the rock clean. And he slides off the other side for a 5. Spectators had to kind of lift the bike off of him. Jordy rolls right up the rock. Good clutch work from Jordy. Gilberto had a 3 1 and a 5. Peter Jan 1 clean and a 5.
But no one dropped any down there, so I was.
Gerard scores a 5. Amos Bilbao with a 2 and 2 cleans. Theory gets a 5. And not quite enough speed for the top of the hill here. Johnny scores a 5. A side view of this rock now at the exit. A little over a wheelbase away was one more. Some of the riders would get over the first rock and then be all out of shape for the next one and 5 it right at that point. And the last rider we'll catch through here, Diego Bozes. Nice ride. Diego and Jordy had the best rides in this section with 2 cleans and a 1. Going over to section 4 now for the second lap. And we'll give you the first lap scores here in just a second. Section 4 was the hardest section of this trials, and you'll be able to see here just exactly why in a bit. A real tough downhill with lots of turns over lots of loose, slippery rocks. A lot of trick turning and maneuvering the bike was also required. You had to go over this rock and come off the backside just right. Otherwise, you were definitely going to get wet down here, as you'll be able to see in just a bit. This turn down here dropped the riders into the corner of this swamp. And actually, the more riders that rode it, the deeper that became. And then with wet tires, you went up the hillside again with a couple of real tight turns. Over some great big ledges. This took a lot of energy out of the riders. You had to really fight your way up through this section. Theory's brother, Freddie, giving him some advice. Theory's balancing here to kind of regain his energy and breath. It was really puffing when we were watching him. And he's out with a real close 3. First lap scores. Jordy Terrace leading with 21. Peter Yan with 30. Michaud with 32. Boses 33. Bilbao with 40. Cuberta with 40. 7th, Miglio with 45. 8th, Galak with 45. 9th, Lejeune with 46. 10th, Morales with 46. 11th, Avila with 46. Girard next with 49. Couturier with 49. 14th, Berlotti with 50. And 15th, Marco Reet with 50. The only riders to make it through this section on the first loop with a 3 were Jordy Terrace, Thierry Michaud, Peter Yan, Steve Saunders, Gabino Ronales, and Pascal Couturier. And on the second loop, Thierry Michaud was the only rider to get through it. And on the third loop, only Diego Bozos made it through with a 3. This was a very hard section for the checker to score. Eddie almost makes it out and takes a frustrating 5.
The world champion?
Yep.
Section 7 was another hard section. And the hardest part, again, at the exit. Jordy had the best ride in this section with a 1 and 2 3s. Miglio a 5, 3, and a 5. Steve Saunders with a 2 and 2 3s. Eddie Lejeune with a 3 and 2 5s. Girard with a 5, a 3, and a 5. Berlotti and Codina with 3 5s. Cuberta with a 1 and 2 5s. Peter John 2 3s and a 2. And Tommy Avila, Johnny Anderson also had 3 5s. A lot of 5s were taken at this part, making that trick right turn and then up that very slippery dirt bank. But coming down here, getting set up for this exit was a real hard part. Here you have to make a trick turn and try to line your bike right in that groove that's right underneath the mid part of Thury's bike now. This was very difficult to do. And a lot of riders fight it right here at this point. Right ahead of Thury are a couple of big slippery ledges that he has to go up and over to get to the exit. As you can see, there's some water in here and that very slippery Canadian mud. Thury just about gets over that rock. Then he slides off out of bounds for a 5. And Pascal gets over the rock, and he's out with a 3. It looked like Diego lost his traction there, and he scored a 5. Section 13 was the easiest section here today. You rode across the stream and then back again, and then up the bank over a rock to the exit. Most of the top riders cleaned this, although Thury Girard had his problems with this section with a 5 and 2 1s. Jordi Terrace, Diego Bozes, and Amos Bilbao cleaned this section each time they rode it. Donato Miglio and Philippe Berlatier with 2 cleans and a 1. Steve Saunders with a 1 and 2 cleans, along with Johnny Anderson. Eddie Lejeune and Tommy Avila with a clean and 2 1s. And Peter John, a 2 clean and a 1. Codina, a 3 clean and a 1. Amos almost gets into a little bit of trouble here. Sometimes riding across these very fast-moving streams is very tricky. Lap 3 now. Back to section number 3. This was just up from section number 4. Almost basically the same kind of a section. Lots of very slippery rocks with lots of real tight trick turns required in it. Lap 2 scores. First was Michaud with 27 points, and that puts him in second place with a total of 59. Jordy came in with 30 points, and he's still in first place with 51 points total. Steve Saunders came in with 31 points, which gives him a total of 74 for fourth place. And Peter Jan came in with 38 points, and he's in third place now with 68 points total. Avila had 39 points, Miglio 41, Bozes 42, Chiaberto 43, Lejeune 44, and 10th Gerard with 45. So Thierry Michaud has picked up a couple of points on leader Jordy Terrace on this lap and has moved to within 8 points of him. Jordy's probably beginning to feel the heat that Thierry's putting on him. But one thing in Jordy's advantage, he usually rides his best on his last lap. And Peter's only about halfway through the section now. This was the hardest part, and he scored a 5. The best rides in this section were by Thierry Michaud, who had 3 threes. Donato Miglio and Eddie Lejeune each had all 5s. Diego Bozes, Philippe Berlatier with a 3 and 2 5s. Chiaberto with a 5 and 2 3s. Bilbao with a 3-5-3. Johnny Anderson with 3 5s. And Ron Como had a 3 and a 5 before he DNF'd with a mechanical on his last lap. Section 10 was a real good section. Just up from section number 11, which also was a creek section. This also started down the creek and came up this hillside. And this was real tricky. A lot of little rolly rocks. Slippery slab rocks. Pretty much a second gear section right up the hill. Left turn. And then you're at the exit. Tom Farr from Canada scoring at 3.
Okay, thanks a lot for checking.
Terry Michaud had a 1, 2, and a 5. Miglio, 3, 2, 1. Lejeune, 5 clean and a 3. Girard, 5, 3, 3. Berladier, 5, 3, 2. Gilberto, 2, 5, 3. And Ron Como, a 5 and a 3. Nice ride from Peter with a 1. That turn down there when he came out of the water and started up the hillside was really tricky. A lot of points were taken right down here at this point. There was a little hole right there that a lot of the riders fell into, and all the extra rocks there, which were very slippery and smooth, caused lots of problems for the riders. Amos wasn't too happy with this ride. Nice smooth ride from Jordy, and he and Diego Bozas were the only two riders to clean this section each time they rode it. Nice ride from Andrew with a 2. Section 14 was the second easiest section in this trials, and it was the last one that we covered in this event. Most all the top riders cleaned this section. Lots of real big dry rocks with plenty of room to turn in this section.
Stay where you are, Jack.
Probably the trickiest part was right at the entrance, which we'll go take a look at here in a bit. Jordy, Anthony Michaud, Diego Bozas, Tommy Avila, Thierry Girard, Andrew Codina all clean this section. Steve took a 1 on his first lap. Peter John had a clean, a 5 and a clean. Amos Bilbao, clean 2 and a 1. Miglio, 1 with 2 cleans. Lejeune, 2 clean and a 1. Berlatier, 2-5 and a clean. Louis Galak, 3-5 and a clean. Anderson with 3 1s. And Ron Como had 2 5s. Here's the start of the section, coming up over that first set of rocks. Renato Chiabretta was the next rider, and he's the last one we'll watch in this trials. And Renato lands right in this crack. 6 other riders had the same problem.
Chains off.
Now Renato's really wedged in here,
Chains off.
and his chain's just about to come off his sprocket. Now if Renato could clean this section, he'd wind up in 9th place. If he takes a 5, he's going to wind up in 13th place. This is too easy of a section to give up on, because he'd probably go through and clean it if he weren't stuck here right now. If he could back the bike up somehow, he'd probably be all right and the chain would stay on. But he's got himself wedged in there real good now.
What's the first word, though?
Boy, oh.
Dio porco, di un porco di.
Oh, now I know what it means. Terrible thing to say.
Put your bike out, Renato.
Renato lost some time back in section 14 putting his chain back on, and then he had to take a 5 in section 15 in order to make it to the finish and arrive before his time was up. He made it with only about a minute to spare. All the other riders were already in and checking the final results. We asked the 3rd place finisher, Peter Jan from Finland, what he thought of today's sections.
Quite good, really difficult. The sections were possible at the first loop, but second and third, some of the sections were really impossible for me. I don't know about Jordi and Tieto.
How'd the bike run today?
Pretty well. Had some problems with the clutch. Didn't go as I would have wanted it, but still it was good. Good enough to make a 3rd place.
Well, this is their first world round up here. Would you call it a pretty good trials today?
Yeah, I think so. With the 3rd place, I'm really pleased with that. So I don't care if the sections were bad or good. The 3rd place is what I'm going to get home.
Okay, Peter, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
Congratulations on your win, Jordi. How was the trials? Was it difficult?
Yes, I think this week is very difficult because yesterday it raining and the sections I think is made to without raining, and the first group of sections is very difficult. After also have difficult sections but possible, and I am very happy because I win another one time and I now stay leader on the World Championship.
Now you're leading in world points. Are you going to stay leading? You're going to work very hard to keep your lead?
Yes, I work too much to win the last competitions because I think for me it's possible, but it's necessary also a little bit good luck.
How about the bike? Was it working very good today?
Yes, for the moment in the third last lap competitions. I don't have problems with the motorcycle. I am very happy because with a new bike it's possible to have more probability to have problems, no? And for the moment I win in every competition.
Once again, Jordy, good job, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
And also, tickets for the reception are also available up here with Sue at the reception desk. Thank you all very much for coming out.
And the final 1989 World Standings. 15th place, Ender Codina. 14th, Gabino Renales. 13th, Renato Gilberto. 12th, Thierry Girard. 11th, Pascal Couturier. 10th, Eddie Lejeune. 9th, Peter Jan. 8th, Amos Bilbao. 7th, Philippe Berladier. 6th, Tommy Avila. 5th, Steve Saunders. 4th, Donato Miglio. 3rd, Diego Bozes. 2nd, Thierry Michaud. And the number 1 place, and a big congratulations, goes to Jordi Terrace from Spain, the new 1989 World Observed Trials champion.